Delighted to say we are joined by Kerry's Dara Moynihan and David Clifford. We are here at the launch of the Rockshore Killarney Club Sevens, a Gaelic football seven-a-side tournament that SPA GAA are organising over the June bank holiday weekend. They're going to have 20 men's and ladies teams from all over the country that are going to do battle to win a share of a 10 grand prize pot. Entertainment is going to be guaranteed both on and off the pitch, with a wide array of musical acts playing all weekend in the Rockshore tent. In addition to that, then there'll be a food corner and a kids corner, ensuring there's going to be something for everyone. Now, you can buy tickets for this on killarneyclub7s.ie, and that's the number 7, killarneyclub7s.ie. Dara, we might kick things off with yourself. You're obviously a SPA man. Can you tell us a little bit about this event and how it came up?
So I didn't have much really to do with it, but it was Shane, Evan and Stem and a few others just came up with the idea and they put it into motion really. And Shane just got onto Rockshore and all these just to get sponsors, and he made out this big, massive kind of plan for it, and they got the ball rolling really. So yeah, it's great for, to be fair, as well, like huge.
June bank holiday weekend, not a bad time to be around Killarney as well.
No, it was always a busy weekend anyway, like, but this is going to make it even busier now, because after getting clubs from evening lives, he was just telling me there that St. Kieran's from London are coming now as well. So that's going to be huge, obviously, like, and there's teams from Dublin and Galway and Cork and everything. So it'll be class.
What's the biggest thing in Killarney already on the June bank holiday? It's the Bikers Fest, is it? Do you think you'll be able to persuade a few of them to come over to SPA GAA for the weekend?
Hopefully, yeah. There's shuttle buses and everything running from town and stuff like that. So surely they might take a trip up there.
Brilliant. Since you've become a Kerry senior, Dara, how heightened has the importance of your club become to you? The fact that you can do so much because you're obviously one of the more visible players of the club right now.
Yeah, SPA is huge, to be fair. Like, whenever I've needed anything, they've always given it to me, access to the gym the whole time, even during lockdown and stuff like that. Like, they gave access to it the whole time, so it was very handy to get your gym sessions done and stuff. So yeah, it's massive.
David, what about yourself then? Obviously, good fuss man yourself and Paddy flying the flag for the club at the moment on the county scene. Again, is it a similar thing where I guess your club is growing constantly year after year? Is it hammering home the importance of it when you're representing Kerry on the county stage as well?
Yeah, massively. Like you said, in Fossa, I suppose we're lucky. The population is growing, so we're up and coming, you'd say. But yeah, it's massive. I suppose you always have a realization of the importance of the club, and like that, you can, I suppose, see the joy that it brings to the people in the club when you're able to represent Kerry. But I suppose more importantly, then we come back and represent Fossa.
I'm interested, lads, in the relationship between you two, because you go back a long way. You're obviously not from the same club, but you're obviously both lads who went to school in Killarney, would have played for the SEM for quite a bit. But I just wanted to start with the 2016 minor team that you were a part of. Like, I'm sure that it's 6 years removed from it now at this point, but if you look back at some of the names from that minor team, yourselves were in it: Graham O'Sullivan, Mike Breen, Sean O'Shea, Diarmuid O'Connor, Stephen Acunbar. If it wasn't for injuries, chances are the entirety of those 7 players would have played against Mayo in the league final in some capacity a couple of weeks ago. Did you know, David, at that point that dressing room was going to be as strong as it was?
Sure, I suppose probably not. At the time, we would have known that. I suppose the only way, really, if looking at form at minor teams, is a lot of those lads that you mentioned were on the 2015 team. So I suppose they're going to be the staples then for your 2016 team. But I suppose at the time we didn't. But you know, I suppose we were lucky to be successful at that grade, and then things just kind of rolled on from there. And I suppose it happened so fast from there that you're kind of in it then before you realise it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I can remember, Dara, your interview after the Hogan Cup final in 2017. You were captain that year, and you gave a great interview about all the work that had been done in the SEM and across Killarney in general. And you mentioned Vince Cooper, who was constantly working with you at that point, that it seemed to me that underage success was built on the basics of skills and not so much the SNC, which was important as well. But those development teams were very much based on the basics.
Yeah, like from the first year in 16 and stuff, I remember, like, we actually did no running. Like, after Fitzgerald, like, it was all football, it was all kicking the ball. Like, every single session was all kicking the ball. And he said, like, even if things are going wrong for you, just always stick to kicking the ball in, like, you know, it's going to stick. So, like, it was all skills really, like, you know.
Right, because I guess had maybe other counties had kind of gone away from that a little bit, that they'd focused on building athletes and not focused on how to win football matches.
Exactly, yeah. Like the years before that, I remember we ran into the ground, like, and I suppose you kind of peaked too early and stuff. Then, like, enjoyed the flicks for it. So it was just all skill, really. Like, so it was very good, to be fair.
What ages were you running to the ground at?
I'd say the year before that, really. The year before that, in 15. We won't say who the manager was, but
that Hogan Cup final of 2016 is an interesting one. He scored 2-9 between you. St. Pat's, your opponents, scored 2-6 on the day. David, you were wearing 11. Did you play centre forward that day?
Yeah, I played 11 for most of the day. Now I played 11 a lot that year. We were very strong inside. We had Evan Cronin and I'd say maybe Mikey Casey, I'd say from Crokes were the two, and David Shaw, of course, they were inside. So we were strong. So I went to 11 that year. Yeah, I probably haven't played their whole pile since, but it was very enjoyable that year anyway, definitely, yeah. But I don't know that I moved to the inside line maybe late in the game, but I've been able to stay a lot closer to the goal since that anyway.
When you were a half forward, would you be working as hard as Dara Moynihan would have been working out in the 40?
No, not a hope.
Would you have to make up a small bit for that then, Dara, if there's a fella playing 11 who's just looking to get close to goal?
Definitely would have to 100%.
Do you remember much about that day? I think Conor Glass was playing for St. Pat's that day, was he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah. Was there much talk around him at that point?
Yeah, there was. They had, I think it was, so I can't remember exactly. No, I think it was his second or third Hogan Cup final at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know, had they won one and maybe lost another one to Dingle. So there would have been a big hype around it. I suppose there was definitely like a fear factor. We were to the game as underdogs, I think.
Yeah.
So to come out the right side of it was class at the time.
When you chart through your underage years, just to stick with this for a moment, there's obviously a load of very interesting things here. David, yourself, I think this kind of got brought up last year when you scored that goal against Galway quite a bit, just your own soccer background. Obviously, when you go back and look at it, the Kennedy Cup of 2013, I think it was an interesting one when you look at the names that were playing in the Kennedy Cup on the national scene, as well as in the Kerry scene. I think Diarmuid O'Connor was on that Kennedy Cup team with you, and there was a real correlation between, and there always is, between the good GAA players in Kerry and those that make that team. We would have played a lot of soccer. We both played with Killarney Celtic. I got injured just before the Kennedy Cup, so Diarmuid O'Connor took my place as centre half for the tournament. But I played a few games here and there. We had Reno Sullivan was our main man, who would have went across the water to Brighton in the years or so after the Kennedy Cup. So he carried us on his back, to be fair to him. Right. And so, like, at that point, you're obviously gunning to be starting centre back for Kerry. And what was it? The last minute injury that pulls you out of it?
Yeah, it was just a few weeks before it, I think. Yeah, it was only a minor injury, but it just came at the wrong time.
Right. Dara, how close did you come to making Kennedy Cup?
I was a bit off it now, to be honest. I was kind of like a Trent Alexander right back. He was kind of like a Harry Maguire centre back, but he was taller. That's why.
I was bigger.
So you're bombing forward constantly, Dara.
I was a bit off now making the Kennedy Cup now, to be honest. But yeah, I can't remember how they did that year. I think Stefan on that team. I think he was centre mid or something.
Who was?
Stefan Lecumber. That team.
Yeah.
Not sure who else was on. Honest, I can't really remember.
I think that year as well, you had Craig Casey playing for Limerick, and you had Dara O'Shea playing for the DDSL that year as well. So it's a fairly random year with some of these names that when you look back 10 years later, it's incredible. Like to kind of stick with that again, David, one of the other things that gets brought up when your soccer background is mentioned is a game, and I'm not sure were you playing in this one, Dara, but a game for the SEM against Calasanchez College in 2014, and Aaron Connolly was playing for the Galway team that day.
Yeah, no, that was we'll say my own age. So that was the age below Dara, but
right.
We actually won the All Ireland that year. I think we were under 15. I think, but again, Connolly was the year below us, so we had a bit of size advantage on him, so we won't read too much.
But what was he like to play against at that point?
Yeah, he was good at the time. I suppose like that. There's so much talk about fellas at that age. I think we would have known about him, right? He was good. He was lively, yeah. But I think we won the game 4-5-0. So he he wasn't a major factor, I don't think.
It's incredible, really. I think he did score though, did he, in that game?
Maybe he did so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was a 5-1. There's something on the SEM website anyway that I got sent a while ago. I think Connolly did get one, but
Okay.
but that was it. 5-1, I think, was the full-time scoreline against Aaron Connolly. Was there ever a point, David, where going to England or professional contract was going to be up for grabs for you?
I don't think so. I wouldn't have been good enough. Like, I was
right.
a decent enough centre half, but I'm sure we played enough soccer at a high enough level where if we were good enough, we would have been spotted. I think we got to our team at Killarney Celtic. This is when, we'll say Dara's age, so the age above me. We got to the quarter final of the National Cup. We lost to Cherry Orchard one year. We were able to play at a high level. Do you know what I mean? But if we were good enough, we probably would have been spotted.
And how come you were a centre back and you were a corner forward in football?
I'm not sure. I don't know where I kind of started off as a left back. I suppose it was a lot of it, maybe it was down to the size. Maybe I wasn't good enough with my feet further up the field.
Were you in the same class in school? You were.
We were in the same year.
Yeah. What was, because having gone to the SEM as well, those PE sessions when you get let play indoor soccer are pretty interesting. What was that like for you?
An absolute hacking session it was.
Go on, explain that one.
You just had Arthur Fitzgerald trying to ref the games. It was just non-existent.
Arthur Fitzgerald, of course, the current S&C coach of the Kerry senior team, he's still a teacher in the SEM, I think, is he?
Yeah.
He's right. And but obviously, like, I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. It's the players that are in the court at that point. So like, was there a beef there? Was there rivalry? How come it kind of broke out into a hacking session?
The issue with it was we used to bring gear, so you used to have to play in your socks, and sure you couldn't keep your feet, so there was tackles coming in from all angles, and it used to be murder.
And were you like a tidy right back during those indoor soccer games, Dara, or did you try and get in the mix?
I was a striker then. I was like Carlos Tevez.
And where did you play, David?
Yeah, I'd say I was a centre mid in those games.
Right. Just picking the pass in indoor soccer. Not an easy thing to do.
No, exactly.
Geez, that's playing indoor soccer in your socks. I'd say your Kerry development coaches wouldn't have been overly happy to have heard news of that. That's like playing on an ice rink.
Yeah, it was dodgy. Right, there was a few injuries picked up for the fellas that missed games a few weeks after, especially in the time of the Hogan Cup. You used to go on that, but it was good fun.
It'd toughen you up a small bit, I'd imagine. Those kind of Arthur Fitzgerald just refusing to referee the game.
That would, yeah. He'd get a baiting in after if he wasn't doing it right.
Lads, I must ask you about the season so far. It's obviously been a pretty successful one. Dara, just starting with yourself, I mean, one of the moments at the league, from your perspective, I'd imagine, was that goal against Dublin in Tralee. How much of a focus has that been for you this year, trying to not get back on the score sheet, but adding more scores to your game and getting goals, especially on top of that?
Yeah, I suppose, like, the management said it to me, like, you need to get on the score sheet more, like, really, John, like, whatever about doing everything else, like, you need to make an impression on the scoreboard as well. So I'm trying to do that as much as I can. And look, the league was obviously successful for us, but we just have to park that now and focus on the rest of the year. But it was a good league, to be fair.
I actually ask you about your first year coming into the Kerry panel, because you came in 2019, and I think you basically started every game. Once you kind of started one, you were in the team. How easily did you step up, or how difficult was it, given the physicality, the fitness, the reading of the game that's needed in the half forward line in the modern game?
Well, I suppose, like, the first few sessions, no, it was tough, to be fair. Like stepping up from under 20 and even club training, like, or district training, like, there's just a different intensity to it. Like, tackles are harder, the pace is faster, coming in marking the likes of Paul Murphy and these fellas at the first session, like, so it was very tough. But you just get used to it really after a couple of sessions, really. And then I remember the first game, the league debut, I wasn't even supposed to be starting, but Peter just told me then, when we were at the pre-match meal, that I'd be starting.
Right.
So I suppose we were kind of nervous then, and just, I don't know, it was just went well that day, to be fair.
And what was the biggest thing about that first game, once you actually get into game mode, once you go beyond training, that you noticed about the step up to senior football?
The physicality, really. You know, like, some fella pulling off you the whole time, not getting much time on the ball, and, you know, much time to think and stuff. So the tackles are harder as well. But you just, I suppose, like that's where the strength and conditioning comes into it then as well. On top of it, you just get used to it.
How long does it take to get used to it? Does it take you a season or two?
I suppose it does really, like, but like it's different for everyone really. You know, can't really put a time limit on it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. David, you were obviously in a year before that. You were in 2018. Obviously, one of the high points of that year was Clonus, the last minute goal. I'm just interested in the makeup of that goal because it's James Donaghy with a big ball into the full forward line. Donaghy knocks it down for you back at the net. Almost 3 different generations of forward in that team in that one goal. How much did you learn from the two lads that year?
Yeah, a massive amount. Like that, I suppose I was. Now, when I came in, neither of them would have played a whole pile of football in the league. I think they were both in nursing injuries, but when they were able to come back in, you were just trying to, I suppose, act as a sponge and trying to take in as much as you can from them. Like each of them in either the Kerry forwards, I suppose, are always very willing to share their knowledge, even if it's not through talking, if it's just through watching them. There was always a lot to be learned.
What would have been the big thing you learned from them?
Yeah, like I suppose different things. A lot of the stuff from Donaghy would have been just around I suppose how you carry yourself and how you I suppose how you maybe behave on the pitch. And then different stuff, I suppose, from James, just just around kicking and just movement, really, I suppose, in and around the top of the D and stuff like that. So again, I suppose hard to pinpoint stuff, but there's a lot of stuff there.
That's the real thing, because like James Donaghy is doing our football pod with Tommy and Paddy this year, and some of the nuggets that we're getting on the podcast already, really, it's exactly as you said there. It's the movement that seems to be his thing, and he'd be talking a lot to even like the half forwards in terms of the exact sort of pass that you want as a corner forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. I think that probably comes with time. It's very hard to build those relationships when you're so focused on maybe not making the team. When the team gets a bit more settled, I suppose you can start building those relationships then with the players around you, which is massive.
And when you talk about Donaghy giving you the information about how you should carry yourself in the fields, like the man is just a born winner. He doesn't back down whatsoever. He definitely brought that edge to Kerry in the mid 2000s. That was absolutely essential at that time, it seemed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you said, I suppose he never backed down from anything, but always carried himself in the right way too, which is a big thing.
Dara, just in terms of the change of management this year, has that led to a change in role for you at all this year, or is your work essentially the same and it's just about building on the last couple of years?
I don't think it's changed that much now, to be honest. I suppose Jack's just focusing more on getting the ball and kicking the ball into the full forward line really as much as possible. Getting them one-on-ones really is a big factor, like, for us. So I suppose the wing forward role doesn't really change much, really. So working hard, getting on the breaks, moving the ball forward, like. So no, I don't think it's changed that much.
And are you enjoying your football more this year?
I'm like you'd enjoy it, like anytime you play for Kerry, you would enjoy it really, like. But this year so far, it's been very enjoyable now, to be honest.
Yeah, getting back out in front of a full Croke Park the last day, I'm sure didn't harm that any bit. David, obviously the day out against Mayo was an interesting one. Did you find, like Dara mentioned there, the getting into one-on-one situations in the full forward line, did you find that those opportunities presented themselves easier to you in Croke Park than they did against Tralee against Mayo? Did you find that you were in one-on-one situations more that day?
Possibly. I suppose the weather had something to do with that too, maybe. But yeah, I suppose maybe we did get a few more for one-on-one situations, but every day is different. You can't probably read a whole pile into any game like that. Yeah.
I have to ask, what did Portugal Horror say?
Not much.
Not much. So yeah, was it good? Was it bad? Was it something that made you think I need to notch up a few scores here?
No, to be fair, there wasn't a whole pile. No, it was a good battle. There wasn't a whole pile in it.
Okay, fair enough. In general, then on that point, how much has certain moments in your senior career so far, I guess, developed you mentally on that front? I mean, there's obviously the famous example in Eden Dork where the referee sends you off after Tyrone lads are talking in your ear. Have you got used to that, basically, the yapping from a back, which is obviously part and parcel of the game?
Yeah, it is. It's part and parcel of it, exactly. Like you just can't react. I suppose the feeling you get of being sent off, whether you're rightly or wrongly sent off for reacting, it's the worst feeling you can have. Like, you just feel like you've left everyone down. So I don't want to experience that again.
So are you basically thinking about that in that moment, trying to restrain yourself, thinking that could be the worst outcome here?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Dara, what about yourself? Is that anything you battle with at the moment in terms of yapping with your man at all? I'd say you probably are up and down the pitch too much for that to happen, are you?
I wouldn't get as much attention as him. No. But it'll be the odd few words sometimes. Nothing much, no.
Lads, great to chat to you. Just a reminder that once again we're here today to mark the launch of the Rockshore Killarney Club Sevens. That'll be held this June Bank holiday weekend in Spa GAA Club Killarney. This promises to be a great weekend, full of fun and excitement for people of any age, and be sure not to miss out. If you want to get tickets for this, you can go to killarneyclub7s.ie, and that's the number 7 in the middle of that website, killarneyclub7s.ie. David Clifford, Dara Moynihan, thanks a million for your time. All the best.
Cheers on. Thank you.